Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming. One of the video requests I had recently was along the same lines as a video I made for Curseborn, which is, what do you do in the world below? Now, the world below is, as I've spoken about it on this channel before, a role-playing game set in a subterranean world, hence the name. There has been some kind of apocalyptic event that occurred on the surface generations ago, and you and other descendants of the survivors of that apocalypse have come to dwell in the world below. And The World Below is a game that I came up with actually as part of a game jam idea podcast. It was on the Onyx Pathcast once as a podcast I'm on almost every week. And we've been running well over 300 episodes on this thing. And occasionally we do this game jam style episode where we throw ideas at each other and we have to come up with a game concept. The World Below was my 5-minute pitch for a game that I came up with all of a sudden, and it was one I then went on to develop into becoming game itself, which, if you back it on BackIt now, you can get the PDF immediately. The printed versions will come out in due course. But does that answer the question? What do you do in the world below? No, it doesn't. What I wanted in the world below is luckily what I got, and that is to say it is a game where you can do an awful lot of things, but I would say the direction for most groups is pretty clear. It's a game of exploration, and it's a game of survival. It's a game of discovery. It's a game of combat. It's a game of fear. It's a game of resource gathering. It's a game of base building, and it's a game of sorcery. It's a game of chaos. It's a game of faith. My God, that is a lot of things to boil into one simple concept. So let me explain to you exactly how. Your characters in the world below will come from various settlements that are dotted around the map of the various strata that the world below exists across. The lower down you go, the closer you get to the well of chaos, the source of sorcery, magic that exists in this world. The closer to the surface you are, the more likely you are to be toxic or radiated or otherwise unwell or distrusted. There are settlements dotted all over this place, and you will represent different ones. You could all come from the same one, you can all come from different ones. Likewise, you will all have different faiths, different dogmas. These aren't just religions, sometimes they're philosophies, sometimes they're missions. You also have different guilds. Guilds are essentially your profession, the person who is paying you, because every time you leave your settlement to map some tunnels or to explore some catacombs or slay a great beast, there will be a guild who has you in their pocket. They want what you find to come back to them. And finally, you also have your ancestry. This is your, typically, but not always, biological heritage, sometimes cultural heritage. This is going to be whether you're an elf, or whether you're a hobgoblin, whether you're a rat man makiru, whether you're a human, or one of the many other ancestries presented in this game. All of these parts form your dawn path. Every character in the world below has 3 paths. You have the Dawn, which is constructed of ancestry, dogma, guild, and community or settlement. And then you have your dialectic. Your dialectic is how you interact with the world around you and how it has affected you. The idea being that you impose your will on the world and the world reciprocates in kind. Dialectics can be physical mutations, but they can also be mental and psychic mutations. So, for example, you may steadily become more fungal, or gems may grow on your skin. Alternatively, you may be able to start hearing whispers in the dark, or you may start being able to communicate with the dead. Then, that's your second path, dialectic. Finally, you have calling. With your calling path, that is equivalent to a profession or a class, or where your abilities are channeled. These are your hunters, these are your holies, these are your alchemists, your silhouettes who glide through the dark and strike with unerring accuracy. You construct a character with these 3 paths, and with them you come together to form a party. In the world below, a party is only as strong as its coordinated membership. No one survives in the world below trekking by themselves. You have to form a party because the threats are too many. There is a theme, a tone, a feel of danger, of oppression, of the walls closing in the world below, because that can literally happen. And the world below may, certainly according to some dogmas, be a living entity that will consume people when no one else is around. After all, if you leave a body in the world below and walk 2 tunnels away and you come back, if nothing has been erected to watch over that body, no monument, no eyeball, no one watching, that body will just disappear. Did the bugs take it? Did the walls take it? Has it passed on to whatever the next world is? We don't know because no one was there to watch it. But your characters working together are set to mapping and exploration, finding fallen settlements that fell out of touch. Because between every exploration season in the world below, there is a calm season. It's ironically named, really, because during the calm, chaos storms rage all throughout the world below, and they can remake certain geologies and geographies throughout it. Therefore, settlements that you once were able to access by travelling 3 days in that direction, that settlement may no longer be accessible. But they may be your main trading partner. So now you have to find another way to get to them. And when you get there, you may find out something absolutely terrible happened. Maybe during the calm season, a volcanic eruption occurred, a magma just washed through that settlement. Maybe you find that all the people there are now mutated, or maybe they've been replaced by Hemexi, these strange spiderous mosquito-like creatures that believe that you are the outsiders and they are the natives. There are lots of ways it can go. But exploration, discovery, and a certain amount of challenge, shall we say, is one of the main aspects of the world below. And in answer to what do, you find your path, you make your map, you fight monsters, you overcome physical and mental adversity, and hopefully you find a safe space, a sanctuary, an outpost to end the exploration season on before calm begins. Now, I mentioned another part of the game being base building. We have an entire subsystem in the world below, and I will absolutely say that I took inspiration from Pendragon, A Song of Ice and Fire, Houses of the Blooded, other games that have a central base building mechanic on. I love the idea of a winter phase, hence calm, and the idea that during calm, most people retreat to their settlements or stop at the settlement they're at, and they will work communally toward erecting walls, setting up defenses, because it isn't just elemental danger out there during calm. This is when the monsters really come out in force. So some of you can remain in the settlements and work on yourselves, study new things, learn new tricks. Others are going to be dedicated to defending the settlement that they are currently occupying, because if there is a gap in the wall, everyone is at risk, including yourself. So there's a big base building element of the game, which is pretty rare in RPGs. There isn't much usually given over to what ores do you bring back from your exploration phase and how might they help with the base building? What weapons did you bring back? What secrets did you learn? What traps could you build around your settlement's perimeter to prevent other creatures from accessing it during the calm? That's a big part. There's also the political aspect of the world below, which is a big what do I do? And it's the question of what do characters do beyond simply surviving? And it's how do they wish to change the world below around them? As an example, and this is one I often give, the idea of the well and the abilities that it can grant you attracts many pilgrims to make that deep descent all the way down to the well, try and overcome one or more of the well liches, the people who have been attached to that place for many, many years, and extract power from the well to do what with? That is the question. That's the big campaign of the world below. If you were running the world below and you wanted to do an epic length Masks of Nyarlathotep, Rise of the Rune Lords, great Pendragon campaign style campaign of the world below, it would be your journey all the way down to the well with all the adversaries, challenges, obstacles that you have to overcome in so doing. You get there, you beat something great, deadly, and undead. You harness this power, but now what do you do with it? Because one of the fundamental aspects of the world below is the question of, yes, the well liches may be the most powerful entities, and they claim that they are keeping the well in check, that they dole out sorcery in the small measures that they do, because without their controls, it would be anarchy. The entire world below would collapse, they say, some of them, the ones that care to talk about it or even justify their reason for being. You have access to that power. Let's say you get access to that power. What do you do once you have it? Do you spread it evenly across all layers of the world below? Is that even possible? Do you take it back only to your settlement to transplant the centre of power from the lowest point to Telva's Hearth or Oriasis or Erehulk or whatever settlement you happen to come from? Do you try and stamp out the well entirely, fill it in? No one can have this power, you say. Utter disarmament, complete disarmament of the world below. No more sorcery for anybody. Or do you only trust yourselves to wield it? And you become a well lich. You and the rest of your party become the new well liches. There's lots of interesting ways that can go. But from the smallest, most low-key story of there is a mystery within your settlement and you need to solve it, through to I need to explore these tunnels, these caves, this gem-filled cavern and find whatever resources I can get before the dragon returns to it, to I need to construct an adventuring party that is willing to get as close to the surface as possible without dying, all the way through to mapping, because mapping is a big part of the world below as well. And then, of course, yes, that big political question. I know some people always rankle at the idea of politics in games, but that idea of power, what do I do with it when I have it, is such an interesting one to me, and one that so few games seem to want to explore, but is at the heart of the world below. So, those are my answers to your question. What do I do in the world below? All of those things and a lot more. I think one of my favourite plots in the world below is the good old-fashioned discovery of a settlement no one even knew existed. The whole idea of knocking through a wall after the chaos storms have subsided, and all of a sudden that wall is brittler than it used to be, smash through it and you find a golden temple with emerald statues, and it doesn't appear anyone has trod here for generations, and you are the first. It's Tutankhamun's tomb all of a sudden. You are the first to explore. This is now a Necropolis-style game. There will be traps, there will be threats, there will be critters, and yes, there will probably be treasure in the centre of it. But, crucially, for the world below, there may also be hope. Because I think all of these explorations, all of these journeys your characters take in the world below, it all fills that need for hope that exists in the world below, because it could become oppressively grim. Whenever someone goes out and brings back something new to a settlement, hope is ignited. So I love those plots, the ones that are almost divorced from the whole idea of who's doing what around you in the world below, and more, what undiscovered lands, what undiscovered treasures exist just behind this wall, I think it's fuel for imagination, for me, anyway. So I hope that answers your question. If the world below appeals to you, please do consider clicking the link below and picking up a copy for yourself. As I mentioned before, you can get the PDF of it immediately. It has already gone out to backers. If you back now, you will get that PDF too, and it is an absolutely beautiful book, stunning, and I think it's the best looking book I've ever worked on. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you check the world below out.